Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's essential for our health, especially as a woman. And what is that? It's estrogen. We'll talk about what it is, how it's made, what its functions are, and how it fluctuates during our menstrual cycle. We'll also explore what happens when your estrogen levels are too high or too low. Let's get into it. Estrogen is a hormone that plays a crucial role in the female body. It's one of the main hormones that controls our reproductive system and other important functions. But what exactly is a hormone? Hormones are chemical messengers that work through your bloodstreams to convey a message. They work slowly over time and affect many different processes, which include growth and development, metabolism, sexual function, reproduction, and mood. Estrogen is a group of hormones that include estradiol, estrone, and estriol. Estradiol is most common in women of childbearing age. Estrone is common in women who are going through menopause, and estriol is present during pregnancy. For ease of confusion, let's call them E1, E2, and E3. So, how is estrogen made? Estrogen is primarily made in the ovaries, but smaller amounts can be produced by the adrenal glands and fat tissue. Let's break down the process of how estrogen is made. The production of estrogen starts in the brain, specifically in a part called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus releases a hormone called GnRH, which stands for gonadotropin releasing hormone. The GnRH that is produced then travels to another part of the brain called the pituitary gland. Then, in turn, the pituitary gland releases two new hormones, LH, luteinizing hormone, as well as FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. LH and FSH are friends. They travel together through the bloodstream to the ovaries. In the ovaries, these hormones stimulate the growth of follicles. Follicles are small sacs that contain immature eggs. As these follicles grow, they produce estrogen. This estrogen is then released into the bloodstream where it travels to different parts of the body to continue out its functions. This entire process is like a well-coordinated dance between the brain and the ovaries, ensuring that enough estrogen is produced to make sure all functions are carried out normally. Alright, so we covered what hormones are, what estrogen is, and how it's made. Let's talk about a couple of its functions. Estrogen helps regulate the menstrual cycle. Estrogen helps control the growth of the uterine lining during specific phases of the menstrual cycle. So if we were to look at a chart that shows levels of estrogen during a woman's menstrual cycle, you'll see from day 1 to about day 5 or 6, it's very, very low when we're supposed to be bleeding as a woman. After that, estrogen skyrockets, where uterine lining is being promoted to grow again by the estrogen. Estrogen also supports your reproductive health. What I mean by this is, it's crucial for the development of the eggs in the ovaries. Estrogen also maintains bone density. Without estrogen, our bones couldn't be strong and healthy. Estrogen affects our mood and brain function. This in turn plays out in our moods and how we're feeling. Estrogen also maintains skin and hair health, keeping our skin elastic and our hair healthy. In this video, I'm only covering 5 of its many functions. If you want to hear more about what else estrogen functions in and why it's so important, leave a comment down below. Alright, let's move on. What do estrogen levels look like during our menstrual cycle? It's pretty well known that estrogen levels change throughout the cycle, but let's break it down and make it a little more simple. During the follicular phase, days 1 through 14, estrogen levels rise, peaking just before ovulation. This helps grow the uterine lining in preparation for a possible pregnancy. Phase 2, ovulation, which is around day 14. What happens here is that LH and FSH, if you remember we spoke about it earlier, stimulate the release of an egg into the ovaries. At this point, estrogen levels are at their peak. Then part 3 of the cycle, the luteal phase, days 15 through 28. This occurs after ovulation, where estrogen levels kind of take a dip but remain pretty steady along with progesterone, preparing the uterus for implantation. And finally, we come full circle to menstruation, days 1 through 5. If pregnancy at this point didn't occur, estrogen and progesterone levels will fall. This will cause the uterine lining to shed and start all over again. I think by this point you understand estrogen is pretty important when it comes to the functioning of a woman. But what happens when your estrogen levels are too low? How does that take a toll on your body? Let's cover that. When your estrogen levels are too low, it can lead to a range of health issues and symptoms. The first of which I hope is pretty clear. It's going to be irregular or complete absence of your period. Without enough estrogen, there's nothing propelling the cycle to move forward, causing it to come to a halt. Most women who are dealing with menopause know that they have low estrogen, so something that's very common to experience is going to be hot flashes and night sweats. We talked earlier that one of the functions of estrogen is to maintain bone density. Now imagine you don't have enough estrogen. Your body can't maintain the proper bone density and it becomes porous, something that's commonly known as osteoporosis. Estrogen levels can also play a hand in your mood and your mood swings. It plays hand in hand with serotonin. Without it, we can experience things like anxiety, depression, random mood swings, and symptoms like PMS. Estrogen helps maintain skin elasticity and hair health, right? Well, without it, you guessed it, dry skin and brittle hair. Lack of estrogen seems pretty intense, but what happens if you have too much estrogen? Let's look at the other side of the spectrum. When we have too much estrogen, this can actually lead to weight gain in women, specifically around the abdomen and your hips. Too much estrogen can lead to irregular periods. You're flooding your cycle with estrogen, so the proper levels that we see on that graph can't be maintained. And of course, all of our favorites, it increases PMS symptoms. Think sore breasts, mood swings, bloating. Too much estrogen is linked to something called fibroids, which are non-cancerous growths in the uterus. And of course, as with anything, if you search Google, having too much estrogen can lead to possible cancers. So you can see it's important to have a balance between estrogen, but also with progesterone, which is a hormone that helps counterbalance estrogen in our bodies during our menstrual cycle. When these two hormones are in harmony, our bodies function well. But when they're out of balance, our bodies can start to develop some health issues. For example, during our menstrual cycle, progesterone rises after ovulation to prepare our bodies for pregnancy. If there is no pregnancy, both estrogen and progesterone levels drop. This leads to menstruation. This delicate balance is crucial for your overall well-being as well as a healthy menstrual cycle. Now, don't freak out if some of these symptoms are things you align with. There are natural ways to go about keeping your estrogen levels balanced. Let's review a couple of them. Number one, of course, is a healthy diet. Eating a balanced diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains can be very beneficial. Foods like flax seeds, soy, and legumes contain phytoestrogens, which help support your hormone health. And let's not forget those healthy fats. Incorporating foods like avocados, fatty fish, as well as nuts can help support hormone production. Number two, regular exercise. Physical activity can help maintain a healthy estrogen balance. By working out, you're decreasing the amount of fat tissue that you have, which can contribute to excess estrogen. It's probably best to aim for a mix of cardiovascular training, strength training, as well as light mobility training. Regular exercise not only helps balance estrogen, but also releases endorphins, which improve your mood and reduce stress, a common factor in hormonal imbalance. Number three, stress management. Practices like deep breathing, meditation, and yoga can help with stress management, which in turn can help balance your hormones. If you're chronically stressed, this can lead to elevated cortisol levels, which disrupt the production and the influence of estrogen and progesterone during our menstrual cycle. Number four, adequate sleep. Getting enough sleep is essential for hormonal function. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep a night. Sleep helps reset your body's hormonal system as well as boost your endocrine system. If you have trouble falling asleep, a couple of tips that I like to give my clients include not using your screen for an hour or two before bed, incorporating the same bedtime every night, and waking up at the same time every day. This resets your body's circadian rhythm, which is your internal clock. A couple of things to limit, of course, alcohol and caffeine. Both of these, when consumed in excess, can disrupt your hormonal balance. Excess alcohol can actually lead to increases in estrogen levels, and excess caffeine can affect your adrenal glands, which then lead to hormonal imbalances. Try hydrating with more water and herbal teas. These can lead to detoxification processes that are super beneficial for maintaining a hormonal balance. And of course, you want to do your best to maintain a healthy weight. Being either underweight or overweight can actually impact your estrogen levels. Fat tissue produces estrogen, so maintaining a healthy weight is essential for keeping a hormonal balance. Understanding estrogen and its function in your body is crucial for being able to be aware when maintaining a hormonal balance. Whether you're dealing with symptoms of high estrogen or low estrogen, it's best to consult with a provider to help you find a right balance. If you found this video helpful, please remember to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And remember, small changes can lead to big improvements in your health.